to use slides. Because what I'm going to talk about is very painful. My jumping around is limited because I know it's very sensitive. I'll start with little stories that make me want to talk about this topic. Yesterday I was telling you, I used to be a crazy woman. Crazy in the sense that I thought my house is an orphanage. And sometimes I think that if there is a man who is patient, it's my husband. Because it was not an issue that we discussed to bring people home. I remember one time I went to an area called Chikwaka. It's a village. And there was this boy, 18 years old, no shoes, not bathed for some days, and was being brought to this orphanage. And they said he was overage. So there was no way to put him. The person who was staying with him, my guru, the husband didn't want. So he had to put this boy in the orphanage. So realizing that the boy was stuck, I took the boy to my house. Craziness, eh? So when I got to my house with a boy who has not bathed for days, and I'm getting to a home in Meborain where my children are to my salad, and I'm bringing them a family member who is not bathed. The first thing was, Mommy, you have gone too far. And I said, this is how I used to be. When I was at my father's house, when I was looking after cattle, and my memory was not there, this is how my children I looked like. So this is how your mother looks like before, yes. So if we are throwing out this child, it means with me, we are also going. So we stayed with this boy. I went to buy clothes for him. So when instead of washing his clothes, he would go behind into the garden and put the clothes on a tree. Didn't wash the clothes. Bereavement can make you not know the basic things about life. That's what I learned. He didn't know basic things to bath. I had to take him to the bath. He was a boy, and I needed to wait by the door for him to bath. Otherwise, he would come out like that. No bathing. That's what bereavement can do to you. If there is no mother or father to tell you to do the basic things, you will never know how to do them. So I learned from Nigel that you can fail to understand or appreciate basic things like bathing. I learned it there, and I was surprised. It took a while for Nigel to think about bathing and washing his clothes. And unfortunately, my home, the rule was, when in grade 4, no more washing for each other. Everyone had to look after themselves. And being by then, that time I think they were 14. So who could wash for 14 children? Each one had to wash for themselves. So when I had them, my crow at that house, I thought I'd done the best that a Christian woman could do. But there were so many things that were happening in my house that were strange. I thought they would be kissing me and loving me because I have taken them. I remember the other one I was sharing with my friend. We went for a funeral for my cousin. This cousin, my father's brother, had a relationship, and this child had never come to home. But when he got sick, the relative of his mother said, You people who have looked after your child since he was a child and now she has got her own child. You want us to look after your grandchild as well. So come and take your child. Me crazy. Crazy. We go with my father. It was at a funeral, I remember very well. Being given a small bag like this. I think there was one shirt and one short. And we were told, mofamba zvakanaka nemuzukuru wenyu. And we have been given this so small boy, grade 3, to go and look after. And I cried that day. Is a child transferred as a handbag? How can suddenly a child just be given? And we know we're just burying the mother. Before he had time to grieve, as we were living, these are people that we have not stayed with. So we're not staying. We had come to bury our cousin sister. No relationship. Me, I had never seen that cousin of mine when she was still well. I saw her on a dying bed. I had no relationship. There is nothing I knew about her. But I just accompanied my father to take, I think we started being involved when she was sick. Then my other cousin took to look after her. Then eventually we took off at the funeral. So there I'm stuck. I've got this grade 3-year-old boy. And I'm there. My husband is not there, by the way. Craziness. I'm taking the boy where? Home. Crazy woman. So I thought, in all my earnest, in the depth of my heart, I thought I was doing the best thing for those children. But over time, I learned that there were things that I was missing. Then the other thing that draws me to talk about this issue, when I just moved to Blawa, it's not too long. The first client that I was given, that you are still trying to prove that you know what you are doing. The first client that I was given is this woman that came. She had lost her mother 2 years ago. And she told me, now I can't even wash my own paint since my mother died. She can't even function. She can't even do anything. She just sits and watches TV, pretend to be watching TV and not watching TV. And she had lost her job. She was a teacher. She had lost, they fired her at work. She couldn't cope with children in class. So job got finished. So she came in and says, my daughter brought me, but I don't think they can be live after my mother's death. So I said, let's see who start, and life will come back. So I realized we minimize the pain that we go through when we lose our loved ones. And we ignore the pain that children go through when they lose their parents. It's like life has to just go on like nothing happened. So I was thinking, I took this boy. I didn't know about the mother. Do you think we ever talked about the mother in the house? Not even. I didn't know what to say because I didn't even know the mother. I didn't know the mother. So it was join the band, and the band was huge. Join the band and continue like it's normal. But was it normal for this boy coming into a strange house? You don't know anybody. You are just being told this is your mother's relative. Go with her. So things that I forgot at that particular time was this cycle that I've drawn there. My brother drew for me this morning. They are laughing people within this meeting. Yes. When we have relationships, we are intertwined like that. You don't live in separation. Yes. It's like my pastor, Chifamba, and his wife. They look like they are two there. They are not two. They are that. He can't live independently of you. Even sometimes with some other family members, it might not be this big. It depends with the relationship. Sorry, I don't have a point. With a different relationship, the cycle is different. Sometimes with other relationships, it's this small, they are very small cycles. But as we live together, it's okay. As we live together, our relationship overlap. You are no longer living alone. You are cohabiting with other people. So your life is never by yourself. So when you lose your loved one, let's go to the next slide. You remain with a scar. And that scar is for life. That is the pain of bereavement. That scar is for life. You will have it for the rest of your life. And because it's a scar in that you carry, sometimes it bleeds when you are stepped on. Some events will make you to cry. Some events will make you sometimes you think you are okay, but there are things that trigger you. There are lots of things that trigger you, and you live with that scar for the rest of your life. That means you will never forget the person that you lost. You are trying to live around that scar, but that scar remains with you. That means you never forget. There are things that always remind you of that person. There are things that your life remains with. So you will never live the same life when you've lost your loved one. Life will never be the same. Has it been the same? No. So what you are trying to do is trying to adjust and live with this scar within your life. So all that we are talking about is living with your scar. Or maybe not a scar, with a wound. So we are trying to make it a scar to cover the wound, but you remain with the scar. And people always see it and ask, what happened to you there? Because you always have it throughout your life. That's why one of Jesus' purpose to come to this world was that at the end, they said at the end, death has to be destroyed. Because death is one of humanity's worst enemy. We know there is life after death, but because of this interrelationship that we have with scar, humanity is taught to cohabit. There is nobody who can live alone. So that separation causes us lots of pain. So that scar is what causes us to cry, what causes us sometimes to behave in funny ways, that causes us to have a different behavior. And studies say children suffer the most. And from the presentation that came yesterday, maybe they are still in the development stage. Imagine, I was talking to my mbuya kuti, a child that is left, people think that children do not cry. A child that is left out, I'll use this. You can't comprehend it. There is no communication. You just find yourself in new hands. Do you think that child will trust? That means even in their future years, they can't trust. Even when they get to relationships in older ages, they will not trust. Because they lived with somebody, then suddenly they are separated. So when they get a husband, they just feel that husband will disappear. So they are not secure in the relationship. So, and I'll tell you about my relatives that I took grade 3. So we get home, there are rules. Eh? The first rule is this is daddy, this is mama. So when he had grown up, one day he says, the worst thing that you did for me is to ask your husband. You ask me to say daddy to your husband. And I said, why? And he says, I hated my own dad because I never stayed with my dad. My mom would take me over the counter, the post office counter, and then I'll talk to my dad over the counter. So when you talk to me about dad, for me, daddy is a cruel person. So why do you force me to call your husband daddy? Why didn't you look for another title? And I said, young man, I'm very sorry. You know me, I didn't know your background. Your mother, even if she was to go and wake up and start walking by the streets, I don't know it. I don't know your life before. So I worked with what I had at the end. And he says, each time, and you know he used to run away. You have put him, I've taken him from the village where he used to head cattle, and I've put him to a private school, and he keeps running away. So when I could sometimes, I was also a bit gentle. I used to send him back to Granny to visit Granny. I couldn't, most of the time, take a bag from Granny. Why? And I could say, this boy does not appreciate me taking him to a private school, but he still wants to go and educate. It's about relationships. So the person that she knows in his life was Granny. Me, I was a foreigner in his life. So sometimes when children lose, we take them out from familiar environments. And there is nobody to grieve with, nobody to relate with. And we just think the money that we have can heal the children. So what I was doing, I was destroying the child. I didn't make the choice, but the family made a wrong choice because the boy never appreciated the good life that he lived. Because we don't live for bread that we eat. We live with each other. So the each other had been destroyed. So people have got a tendency of when they actually sit, who wants to take this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. I remember my cousin always says this. One of our fathers died early. So the clan was sitting, our fathers, who take these children. So my bigger uncle says, I don't know them, so I'm not going to take them. Let my young brother take them because at least he used to visit. He can sort those ones. And also, the environment they were in is too low for my house. And he was hearing. So they came and joined us. We stayed together. And then when he was going to college, my father said, it's cheaper to go and stay with your uncle so that you just walk to go to college. So the boy started to stay in college and went to beg money for boarding fee and pleaded with my father to be paid boarding fee into college until my father just said, this boy doesn't understand, let's give him. But now he's grown up, he says, Mudara, you think me, I don't have it in here. Somebody tells me I was too low for his house and you want me to go and stay there. I can't do that. I can't. So now, this uncle as ours, his children had opportunities. They all went to America. So they are a bit superficially higher. So wanting to assist here and there. He says even his children, they can have their money. I would stay with my dad. I don't want to have anything to do with them. Because they are higher. And they are still higher. Me, I'll stay with my dad. That took me, when the clan was sitting there, there were so many people that had money, but they didn't want to take us, except him. There are so many things that he missed, but just because he accepted, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I know the ugly things that he used to do. Once, and this guy also at some point ran away. I remember going to take him in the depth of, he was a teacher, in the depth of Mutoko. When we were sitting there, I could see leopards and lions. I went and said, my brother, why have you run away? He says, you don't know that I'm an orphan. Orphans stay by themselves. And I say, orphan, what is that called orphanhood? We grew up together. So am I also an orphan? So if I'm an orphan, then I'm also an orphan. I'm going to stay here, not going to work until I take you out and we go home. So they ran away because you think my father thought it's his child, but he still had scars. And those wounds. So those wounds make it very difficult to rebuild new relationships. It's very easy to say remarry. Huh? Remarry. Get another wife. But maybe some of the people will get another wife before they've grieved the first one. So that the first wife the new wife can suffer. Because you'll never be called the wife. Because the wife is the one who died. You are a convenience or dishwasher. Because I'm now taking for practical reasons, not the original plan that I had. My original plan died. So this wife, new wife, if she doesn't know, she'll be deprived of the womanhood because this man's wife died. That's why even if they say remarry, the Bible still say it could have been best not to. Because this scar never goes away. So you are getting your space in the middle there. So you are not getting the corner as the new wife. Unless God intervenes. There are some situations where it can get better, but it's not the original. You are not the original. So you need to be able to live. And the society never says the original. Mukadzi wakakafa. The society, there is a stigma with it. Mukadzi wakakaita say, akafa. That's what, then the new wife comes and says the family doesn't acknowledge its relationships. So you have to accommodate that you are not the original. If you don't take it there, you get a problem, eh? And there are people that say time heals. People don't heal at the same, don't take the same journey of grief. Some will not grieve now. I can pack it because I've got practical things to do. I'll give you an example. My sister died in Botswana. Were there? I needed to bring her home. You think there was time to cry? We were preparing to come home. And the parents are waiting for their daughter in the village. And I have to bring the daughter home. So it's about processing to go home. And the people thought I was strong. I was not thinking about a death. I was thinking, let me take this one to her parents. So there was no time for crying. It was business as usual. I could laugh and eat. Because my mind was not, she was not it. I needed to block it to function. So sometimes we block to function. But there is a time that you just break down. And when you break down at that particular time, people don't understand. The sister died a year ago. Achiri kutaura nezva sister today. How come? It doesn't work like that. So circumstances surrounding the death can cause you not to cry or to deal with the grief. Sometimes, because circumstances also, they are too painful. Sometimes it doesn't give you, it's too painful to confront. I remember one time when I visited Kadoma Hospital, they were so happy to see me, and I was thinking, these are my good friends. And they said, we are taking you somewhere. We went to this house. This woman's child had died. So we got into a beautiful room prepared for a child. The child was long dead 3 years ago. And the mother had never cried, never removed things from the house, kept on sweeping it. Never went back to the graveside, appeared like all was well. So we went there, and they said, hey, this woman, she's behaving abnormally. So what do you do with such a person? I aborted my trip to go back to Harare. And we said, my friend, today we are sleeping in this room. Me and you. I didn't even say a word. We are going to sleep in this room. What was the purpose? For you to acknowledge that the daughter is no longer there. So we slept there. And she woke me. But she's not here. And I said, yes, she's not here. She says, when? She is not here. And I said, yes, she is not here. That original cry that you make, that's when she made it. At night. And I was just praying the whole night, pretending to be sleeping, but praying, God, bring reality here. What can you say to a broken woman like that? And she then began to cry. So sometimes the pain is too sore. People say she was very brave. Sometimes it is too sore to cry at that particular time. And if there is a time when you need people, that is the time. In terms of pain. So you see, my brother is running away. He ran away from his church and he joined this one. Because the church was not there at his most painful time. So he found solace in these ones that are available. You see how they bodyguard him. They look after him. I love this boy. He looks after my brother. I love it. For him to be able to walk, if this boy was not there, he wouldn't be here. He is my brother, I know him. If this boy was not there, he appears like he has no status, but he's keeping my brother alive. And I want to congratulate him for doing that. I love you, my brother. I wouldn't have had him here if my brother he was not there. He takes him wherever he goes. And I've seen them over time. And he's my brother. And I appreciate him for doing that. That is the only way my brother is going on. So with grief, we are trying to take up a new identity. The old one will never come back. That is the pain. The old one will never come back. She is Mrs. Shumba. Stand up, Mrs. Shumba. Yes. She is Mrs. Shumba today. It's Mr. Shumba at home. Yes. Next time, even if they say, how are you, Mrs. Shumba, I meet here, when he is no longer there, that title doesn't really hold. What? Because when we say Mrs. Shumba behind, this one will tell me, she's a widow. She's a widow. From behind. Nobody will end with, she is Mrs. Shumba. She has got a / widow. So she carries on a new identity. And this is what is so for Mrs. Shumba to take up. But the society engraves it. Do I really need to know that she is a widow? But me as a visitor, I will not leave this place without one of you telling me he is no longer there. That's what kills the bereaved. That change of status and the engraving that society does. The but. She is Mrs. Shumba, but she lost her husband. So society stigmatizes death. It's a stigma to have lost your relative. Thank you. Huh? It's a stigma. For those that have not lost, the sad thing is they have no idea. And because you have no idea, you throw painful words. Because you are so lucky, you don't have the scar as yet. So bereavement is a very sensitive topic and a very sensitive life that you live after that. A lot of people lose Christ. Lots of people lose their faith. You see me jumping, this part of my strength jumping up and down. It's because he is at home. Next time you see me, he has lost. I'll tell you, Simbaracha and Sisin. So, this painful topic will continue in the afternoon. I was just introducing it. How we are going to deal with it, how we manage this car, we'll look at it in the afternoon. And I'm sorry, I can see broken hearts and faces. It's part of the process. And I want you to go through it. It's part of grieving. The presentations that we give you is to allow you to go through some pain that you have not really confronted. So it's part of treatment. Your feelings are okay. Cry if you want to cry. You can hold a hand, a friend, go into a room and cry big. Don't hold back your tears. We will continue in the afternoon.